What is one effective way to deal on the spot with an addictive craving like alcohol, smoking, food, sex, porn, addictive relationships, compulsive self-judgment, the trance of unworthiness, body image, self-doubt, to name some that haunt me? Is there one tool I can call on to nip the craving in the bud? I find conscious breathing sometimes helps, but I feel a need for a few more on-the-spot tools that work. Well, this is a great question, and thank you for answering it, and thank you for being so vulnerable with the things that that you feel like you have some compulsion to. And I think one of the things that's so important about this is to recognize that. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for doing the breath work. I think that's a great first step. You know why? Because you're actually getting really present. You're like actually breathing into your body and feeling. But the next step is to also think about, okay, it's taken me, I don't know how old you are, 40, 50, 60 years to create all of these addictions. And so it's unnatural to think that we can like this just pop out of them. Now, I know you're asking for a tool, right? But I just want to keep that in mind that sometimes it feels like a lot of work, and it is, but we want to make this fun, right? We want to make all this deep spiritual work fun, all these addictive behaviors and the things that drive us crazy. We want to make them fun to unravel, because they're programs in our mind. They're ideas about what brings pleasure, about what makes us happy, when the simple things are oftentimes the things that make us happy. Now, there are some behaviors that you put in there, because there's quite a few very different ones, and you might do very different things for each one of them. Some of them, I'll even dare to say that they're a little bit deviant, right? So they may be a little bit like below the belt, second chakra stuff, things that are your creative centers, right? So if it's like sexual addictions, then I would recommend thinking about how that second chakra is very much your creative center, and finding things that you can do that are creatively oriented and based, so that you can have that self-expression, but not necessarily in a way that is not a behavior you want to have, because you're suggesting these are behaviors you don't want. So if it's something different, like self-doubt, you might come at that with just having some, go-to affirmations, mantras, things that you want to be able to immediately switch out and say, I don't want that thought. That thought is from my lowest self. I want to hear something from my higher self. And you want to have that cheerleader within you. I know sometimes we think about cheerleader as a female. And so I mean this as your inner child cheerleader, whether you're a man or a woman. And you really want to be able to hear that voice speak more than that nagging voice. And oftentimes that nagging voice comes from our parents, dare I say, because it's the programs that we were born with, that our upbringing cultivated within us to judge ourselves for. Now, I'm not saying that you should blame your parents. Absolutely not, because you chose your parents coming into this lifetime. What I'm saying is that you got to get back to those programs and unravel it. And that's why there's no magic pill, there's no magic bullet to really anything in life, right? Because we're here to have an experience, and we're here to have an experience and sometimes unravel the experience and not do that same experience. And sometimes we want to keep repeating those really good, positive experiences. So the other thing that comes to mind about this is that when we just, human behavior, human psychology is that when we're trying to stop ourselves from doing something, and we put a lot of emphasis on that, it creates this thing within us that we just do it, right? It's like when our parents said, don't do this, what did we do? We went out and we did it. The minute we say, I'm never having another Krispy Kreme donut again, is the next minute we're out having a Krispy Kreme donut. There's just something innately within us that oftentimes is making that statement. It's almost like a challenge to ourselves. So stop challenging yourself and just come up with behaviors and things that you want to do, so you don't have to be in the mind mess of trying to stop yourself from doing these things, and love yourself for the things that you really love to do, and just do more of that. So I'm sorry there isn't just a one-hit wonder. I think you're right on it with the breath work. I think you're on it if you just start putting together some mantras, some affirmations, some activities that you know you want to do, and maybe in time frames like where you're most tempted to do something like alcohol, right? So if it's like 5 o'clock is the time to go, I don't know, start a happy hour, come up with maybe go play pickleball at 5 o'clock, right? So you just start switching your behaviors, start switching up your schedule, because you want to break the patterns on all levels, not just the thought patterns, not just the deviant behavior, not just how we feel about things, but our whole external environment. And that's where sometimes it can get difficult, but it doesn't have to be, and that's where it needs to stay fun. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have other clarity or questions around that, please do put it in the comments. I would love to hear. Today, as always, I so appreciate all of the questions. I love answering them. I love hearing your comments. I love, just really getting a pulse on the collective, right? Because a lot of these have themes to them that are running through as we go along. And you're going to find more resources if you go over to bethbell.me. There's the Awakening and Healing Handbook, there's the Psychedelics Resource Guide, there's the Herpes Handbook, and so much more. And we're launching quite a few things. So if you have a question, please type it in the comments, or we've got a new form now where you can type in bethbell.me/questions, and it's confidential, and we'll answer your questions in the coming weeks. So I appreciate you being here. Until next week, I wish you much bliss and love on the journey.